Well, Jim, speaking of eliminating the negative, I don't know if I would call this that, but a lot of listeners have wanted to get your thoughts on this. We haven't really paid much attention to AEW Collision or its numbers or its
Oh boy.
action in quite a while. You actually did see it a few weeks back with Battle of the Belts.
I did. I had to stand there stupefied and slack-jawed in wonder. But now this, you're talking about the collision from this last Saturday, where they were up against the most anticipated Royal Rumble in quite a while, and they posted a number that one wouldn't think that the TBS and TNT networks would really appreciate in prime time on any night of the week on their programming.
Well, again, we're going to talk about this because this number, and the number is 300,000 viewers.
Even. Did they round off?
Well, this is the lowest number in the key demo in the history of the show, including preemptions. And this is the lowest.
Wait a minute, it's a lower number than when the show wasn't on at all? How can that be?
I guess when the show was moved to another.
Moved to a different time slot.
It is phrased pretty funny when you think about it.
Wasn't on at all.
This is also the lowest overall number for a non-preemption episode. And the episode that was Friday, November 7th was lower, but that was 270,000, but that was a Friday. Collision went head-to-head with the Royal Rumble. This is information supplied by WrestleNomics. And yeah, let's see what the lineup was. I don't know how much you've been following this.
I don't know what all was on it. Apparently nobody else does either.
AEW Collision, Saturday, January 27th, 2024. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty versus Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley.
How the fuck did that miss?
And a Commander Roddy Strong backstage angle. 343,000 viewers. Quarter 2, Orange Cassidy versus Commander, picture-in-picture, post-match with Roddy Strong. 333,000 viewers. 8:30 p.m., quarter 3, Matt Menard and Daniel Garcia's backstage angle. An ad break. Tony Storm and Mariah May's backstage angle. And Lady Frost versus Mariah May, with picture-in-picture and a full ad break. 295,000 viewers. Quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m., a Swerve Strickland backstage promo. An Adam Page backstage promo. There's an ad break. Eddie Kingston versus Willie Mack. And the post-match with Bryan Danielson. 305,000 viewers. Big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m., quarter 5. Danielson versus Yuji Nagata. With
What?
picture-in-picture. Yuji Nagata. 307,000 viewers.
I was going to say, how old would he be now? I recognize that name from years ago. I didn't know he was wrestling in this country at the moment, but that doesn't stop anybody in AEW.
I would guess mid-50s or early 50s, but I'm not certain.
Okay.
Quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m., the continuation of Danielson versus Nagata. Post-match with Eddie Kingston. An FTR Mark Briscoe backstage angle. An ad break. Brian Cage and Hook's backstage angle. Serena Deeb versus Robin Renegade.
I can't believe we missed all this.
And Deeb's live promo, 276,000 viewers. Quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. A CMLL video, an ad break, and Daniel Garcia and FTR versus the House of Black with picture-in-picture and full screen, 264,000 viewers.
Ouch.
And finally, quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m., continuation of that match and the post-match with Mark Briscoe and Julia Hart, 278,000 viewers. 78,000 in the key demo.
Now, bear in mind, we are right at numbers now that they are approaching on this program that were drawn 40 years ago by Memphis Wrestling on WMC TV Channel 5 in Memphis on Saturday mornings alone. No other airings, no other stations, no other cable. Just the local program. But the big news is, Brian, apparently there's a contender that we have not been covering in the sweepstakes to determine who's going to be the number 2 wrestling promotion behind the WWE. And now, Cinderella story out of nowhere, Tony Khan has been overtaken he's been outrated by the Big Little Brawlers on Discovery. They did a better rating for their Big Little Brawlers midget wrestling show than AEW did for Collision on fucking TBS. Am I hearing this correctly?
Yeah, I have a tweet here that someone sent me by someone named Gareth. AEW Collision did 300,000, Big Little Brawlers did 359. He wrote, AEW is now the fourth biggest promotion, I'm afraid. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I don't know if the...
Well, it is the second biggest midget wrestling promotion.
Well, come on now. The Big Little Giants, is it a promotion or is it a show? I don't even know what it is.
It's a TV show. I doubt very seriously if they're getting people to buy tickets to see it live. But then again, we can say the same thing about AEW.
Who's their booker?
I don't know. But then again, we can say the same thing about AEW.
That's true. Well, I mean...
that's disheartening. When you can get more people to watch the midget wrestling from, I believe they're shooting it out of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, down near Dollywood in the Great Smoky Mountains. I know that area. You get more people to watch that than you do your fucking established wrestling promotion on Turner Networks with goddamn some level of recognized names. Can you recover from that?
I don't know. I mean, the problem is, I was trying to find something here. I can't find the tweet.
Wait, remember when Tony Khan tweeted out, well, a string has ended. When SmackDown got moved to Fox that night, it's the first time that John Cena or The Undertaker or The Rock or whatever major names he was talking about have appeared before less than 1 million people for a quarter hour. Well, now he's got himself in a situation where whoever the champion is of the Big Little Brawlers could go over and be on Collision and say, well, I've never been on a segment with so few viewers before.
What I was going to say, though, is I couldn't find the tweet. I saw one where it had you may have seen it too. You may have been tagged on it. It had a list of the venues, the capacity, and what AEW put in that building.
Oh, I saw it, and I can't read it chapter and verse, but it was depressing.
We're not even talking about smaller crowds in big buildings. They've gotten so small in a lot of these cases, it's embarrassingly small. And it kills the television show and the vibe of it. They have a big show coming up next week in Arizona. I believe they've sold, at least 4,000 tickets, so that'll be a big one, and they have a bigger lineup than they have. But when you look at all the things that in the old days you would look at to gauge the success of a wrestling promotion, live event ticket sales, television ratings or television interest, it's a real not dire, because they're rich, or he's rich, his dad's rich, but it's a real sad state of affairs for AEW, and it's one of the reasons why he could get mad at Tony Khan, because this was the chance so that if anything happened, there was another place that was good and different, and it's like they burnt out on everything after the first few years and there's nothing left. Like, just everything is dead. There's no energy.
Well, that's why I've been mad since the start, because I said, and I've said this 5 years ago, this is going to be the chance in our lifetimes for somebody to mount any opposition to Vince. Never said in 1 million years they were going to exceed or surpass the WWE. That would be delusional fucking thinking from people not grounded in reality. But they could have easily, with $100 and whatever million, they could have easily been an adult, cool, hip, edgy alternative with younger athletes and/or fucking more action and a little more, a little more edge to them that the big corporate sponsors wouldn't take, and whatever, and be the rebel in this instance. But instead, they went full indie garbage. Tony, of all the reasons we mentioned, no leadership, no booking skills, wouldn't let anybody else do it, whether they knew what they were doing or not. And the people that he relied on, which was, that was a fad audience to begin with. We were saying that 5 years ago, the buckaroos And their ilk, that's a fad audience that's going to find something else that they can go and laugh at and not take seriously. And that's what's happened. And in the meantime, nobody involved in the positions of importance were experienced or capable of pulling it off. And nobody's been able to reel Tony in and explain to him that he doesn't come off like a normal person to most people. And so that we saw it. You could not see it unless you needed a job and wanted badly to take the billionaire for some money. If you had any knowledge of a history of wrestling or what it takes to do this, this was what was going to happen. I just didn't think he'd be able to spend $100 million and make it last 5 fucking years. But it could not happen. Because there's no fucking structure, there's no structure, there's no infrastructure, there's no command, there's no control, there's no clear view ahead, and nobody steering the fucking ship. And they've gone through everybody they can bring in, and every trigger they can pull, and every surprise they can pull off, and everybody that comes on the program, with I think 2 or 3 exceptions, is less over after 6 months than they were the first night in. And with MJF, it took him a while to kill him off because he was better than most verbally, and he was able to explain to Tony, don't fucking put me out there and do a bunch of stupid shit. Till then, Tony started putting him out there to do a bunch of stupid shit. Now, is there anybody there that's better off than they were before they got there?
One person, Swerve.
Swerve. There you go. And actually, he wouldn't be there at all, except he was a victim of the Vince era, and they fired his whole group. And then he was already taken by the time they could hire him back, so they hired the other members of the group who were all the fucking shits. Or he would have been back over there probably now in some kind of decent position at WrestleMania.
You know what, though? When his contract's up, he'll be in a better position to go back to WWE now than he would have, when they finally took the other guys back.
Yeah, that's true. But, there's a few people that are just waiting in AEW for their contracts to be up so they can get the fuck out of there because they know they can. And then there's a lot of people that don't have the option to go to the WWE because WWE wouldn't want them, so they're going to be stuck here.